Hey, welcome back to Two Super Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Dylan.
And Anthony?
And Jerome Powell, we have that huge meeting coming up in 3 or 4 days. The European Central Bank just said this is the last hike they're doing. Is that going to be the same for us, or is that not even close? We're going to talk about it. Two Super Guys Trade Stocks. Now, the stopping rate hikes has like wide range of implications, right? Because especially for people who are watching this channel, because I know that there's a number of people, me included, who are waiting to drop like 40 grand on TLT. So a stop of interest rates would be huge because now I know, okay, I can ease in a little bit faster than I'm going. But if we're going to keep on having hikes in interest rates, it does not make sense to buy TLT.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little bit because I'm doing like covered calls.
Yeah,
But
starter position.
was that
Little starter position.
well, a little starter position? So essentially, inflation is still above its 2% target. This is a Bloomberg article. They meet on the 19th and 20th, 3 or 4 days from now. They're basically saying there's no way they're going to signal that they're done. And they're actually saying now there may be more rate hikes after this one. Now, previously, it was theorized in July that we needed one more rate hike, and it was probably going to be this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they were calling for another 25 basis points for this meeting. Basically, was the prediction going into this. I didn't check the options for today though to see if that's still the current prediction based upon options pricing. But
I didn't either. But here's what we've actually been doing since 2020. You can see we're going up fairly fast, and then we have had 4.25 hikes. It does seem like we're definitely going to have another one. Here's why people are a little bit upset, a little bit nervous. All right. So here's the CPI for August. It's important that these numbers are different for month over month than year over year. Just that's where these articles are getting very confusing because you'll be like, oh,
yeah,
inflation went down, and then the next one's up. It went up, and it's it's like the same date. So.
yeah,
But essentially, August, we had a decent increase. We rose 0.6% in August on a seasonally adjusted basis after only increasing 0.2% in July. This is mainly due to food and gas. Here's a better depiction of this. So the blue is all items, and then the purple is all items, no food, no energy. So you can still see we are going down a little bit, but the gas is really not so much food, a little bit food, but gas is really bringing us up quite a bit here.
yeah. I mean, you've seen oil back above like $90 a barrel, so it's been cruising, and energy prices are getting more expensive. We're headed towards winter here in the northern hemisphere. So.
Yeah, Oxy shares, baby. Here's the core inflation. Here's what actually matters in Jerome Powell's eyes. All right, let me move your face.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so August 10th, we were at 4.7%, down from 4.8%. And then 9/13 that was July. And then August, we went from 4.7 to 4.3. So we still are steadily decreasing. That's the good news. That's where that gets really confusing when you see inflation went up and down on the same articles.
Yeah,
It's very odd. They just all
and
use
he's
different
even
metrics.
gone so far as to say that his preferred is core PCE. Core PCE did have like a slight bump from June to July. We don't have August numbers yet
We
for
don't
core
know. Yeah.
PCE or PCE. The bump from June to July was 4.1% to 4.2% for core PCE. So we got to see what the August number comes in for this because, like I said, that is his preferred gauge for inflation.
Yeah. Do you know when we get it?
I don't know if there's a date announced. There probably
Okay.
is. I just don't know it.
Because I know that
Oh,
one
look.
lags quite a bit.
Mhm.
So just to put this in perspective, weekly national mortgage interest rates, man, that would suck to buy a house at 7.5% interest, right? And I know people are like, well, in the 90s it was 15. Houses are a lot more expensive. So it compounds. It's really rough. But that would not be a good time. On top of that, here's your student loan interest rate, all right? 7.5 is definitely what me and Vinny had to do. And then, because when you go into graduate school, they give you a higher interest rate for some reason. Not really sure
Mm.
why. I had some of mine were 9.
Wow. No, I think my highest one was 7.5. I'm doing a separate video about student loan payoff things. It's something I paid off my first couple student loans already, so I'm kind of excited. But I want to compare and contrast when I should let off the gas pedal in order to invest more. So look for that video coming soon.
TLT. He's going to time it with TLT. I did not put car interest rates in here because it literally ranges from like 7 to 25 depending on circumstance. So it's just kind of pointless. But this is wild. This is not necessarily having to do with American anyway, but this is absolutely terrifying. You see this? 3 major Canadian banks have disclosed that about 20% of their residential mortgage borrowers, nearly 130 billion in loans, are increasing their balances. Wait, what does that say? Oh no.
Yeah, well, there are other countries that do interest-only mortgages. The UK is
There
a
you go.
big problem with this too. Where in the US are used to 30-year fixed mortgage, which is by far and away the way
Yeah.
most homes are bought here. But there are a lot of other products out there that involve like these balloon mortgages or interest-only mortgages, which would scare the living crap out of me.
Yeah.
But
Their
that's how
payments,
the way of living in some
they're not
places.
even covering, sorry, I had the OBS stuff in front of it. The interest is actually, it's not even being covered by the payment. It's just, oh my God, it's terrifying. All right.
Yeah, that's scary.
Here is TLT, okay? We're hanging out at about 92, 95. We keep it going back and forth. My buy zone, I didn't really talk about this last time, but my buy zone is between these two numbers, okay? So 87 and 91. And why 87? So if you go back 15 years, you can see that the last time we were down here, every single time we got into this zone, we usually bounce back up. So that hopefully we do have a hike. I'm kind of counting on it. I have no idea. This is probably going to be the most important Jerome Powell speech we've had because of what Europe just did. He's been fairly consistent being like, nah, we're not done every time. And then he'll just be like, you were to read the data, we're not done. So what do you think is going to happen?
So I think we'll get the 25 basis points, but I
I
think it's
agree.
going to be really about what he says in terms of his tone, because the Europeans, although they did say that this is their last interest rate hike, they said that they believe that the rates are not at a point where it's sufficient enough to control inflation. However, they're going to have to keep it there for like a prolonged period of time, which is something he's talked about too. So we're going to have an environment where he's going to probably get this 25 basis point, and then we may be there for months and months and months where it
Could be
kind
a
of
year.
plateau. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to go that extreme in my prediction yet, but yeah, it definitely could be. He's going to be willing to just sit there and just maintain this restrictive monetary policy until like he actually sees inflation come back down to the 2% meaningfully, which we've yet to see. It's moderated slightly, but it's still been persistent at this 4% or so PCE kind of level. Going back, he's talked about 3, 6, 9, 12 months. It's been in this 4% kind of category, and it's been pretty persistent. And we have yet to see it crack from that. I did find out what you were asking me too. So it's Friday, September 29th. It will be the PCE number for August. So that'll be a
Okay.
big day from that standpoint as well.
Yeah. The thing with the TLT trade, being stagnant is actually fine because part of the TLT trade is using the wheel strategy, which when we get to that point, I'll do another video on that. But it's okay if you are looking at the TLT trade and the interest rate's not changing. It's actually great because you have like an $8 availability. You could just get a bunch of cash. So
Yeah, and that's also kind of why you're not really interested in using leaps on TLT, right? Because you're going to be eaten away by
no,
theta
yeah,
decay all that time period, which could be 12 months, 15 months, 18 months. Like, if
yeah.
we're staying at the same monetary tightness, that you'd be eroding your kind of time value. So that's why
Yeah.
leaps probably aren't the play, I would think.
This is way more of a cash intensive trade than I usually do because the last time I did TLT, I was just doing long term puts. So you could risk 5K and make 10 or 15K and you're fine. This one, it's just not safe. It's just because we could be stagnant for 3 years and then I just lost $30,000 in theta decay. So
Yeah.
these are actual buying shares, way more capital intensive. It's like going to be like 50K. So, yeah.
With that note about the capital intensity of this entire trade, our OnlyFans is linked down in the comments below. You can check that out. It's a Dylan really needs to buy some more TLT is actually what the channel's called, but check it
Yeah.
out.
Thanks, guys. Have a good
See you
one.
later.